Hello, good evening. Welcome to another night on 20 Minutes Live. Here is where we have conversation around how to develop our space. That the need to have our space develop will be the conversation here. And every night for 20 minutes, I would spearhead that level of conversation so that we can begin to be on the path towards development as a space. Just to remind us again that some persons might likely say that we are in a situation that is not redeemable, that cannot be redeemed. I beg to differ. And I beg to differ not that I would argue the occurrence, right? That the occurrence actually is quite serious, is troubling, is the occurrence happening within our space is a case of concern, right? But that would not be my perspective of looking at it. My perspective of looking at it, whether it's redeemable or not, will be what are we doing about it, or what have we done about it? That would be my standpoint. That my standpoint will not be that I will just analyze what has gone wrong, or what could go wrong, or what's been wrong. My standpoint will be what have we done about it? What have we done about it? And we should begin to have this conversation about the need to have our space develop from the angle of what have we done. And that is what would really help us to put the perspective in order. The perspective of whether our nation and our space can be truly be better or not. Not just that folding our arms, not doing anything, or thinking we are doing something, but we are actually not doing anything. And how will I know that sometimes we get in the euphoria of thinking that we are doing things, but we are not actually doing anything? Is that we would not sit down to understand the problem. Some of us would not sit down to understand the problem. We don't have the idea of what the problem is. Yes, we have an idea of what we were told that could be the problem, but we've not sat down to understand what the problem is. That the problem is us, is you, it's me. You see? The concept of what the problem is will be shared as an external party, just the same way we treat individual problem, only that we don't just stop there. When something happened, and no thanks to religion, when something happened to us within my space, instead of people to tackle the situation head on, you will hear them say, meaning it has some supernatural force behind it, that there must be a cause. Even for normal cause, right? Normal cause like having a bad road, experiencing an accident, cause like having naked wire exposed and experiencing fire outbreak. We would usually term it, to summarize it, to something that has to do with supernatural, and that is wrong. That is wrong. But that would not just be wrong. That would mean that every effort we would put into fixing it will be a wasted effort. One of the things that people would say within my space, and I heard this often, that people would say, Seun, don't be like me. I regretted not traveling abroad earlier. Jakwawa, you still have the time. And then I kind of begin to assess the people who would say this. And to be honest, some of them would say that what they would mean by getting involved in solving the problem would be that they will join a political party. And you will begin to ask yourself, a political party with a different mindset, with a different approach to doing things, or still the same approach, he just want to have his own way, right? Many people just want to have their own way. We are not thinking like a nationalist. I dare you, yes, I dare you to begin to ask yourself and ask people who say they've done something. Ask them what they've done as a nationalist. We've not done anything, and that's why our result is still like this. We've not done anything as religion, as using our faith as a tool. We've not done anything using our education. We've not absolutely not done anything using our economy. Rather, we use our economy to oppress. You know, you should check my recent release, a poem that I recently released. I dropped it actually today, right? Today, on the celebrity. Very funny, right? That our celebrity will just be ones with capacity to survive and not more. Capacity to survive issues is a satirical work of exploring what we call celebrity within our space, right? So, but back to, no, that's not what's going to happen. But what's going to happen is that we're going to get some level of consciousness from people that will stir up patriotism, and it will begin to give way in the way we talk. So I was saying that it will begin to give way for the way we look at things. For instance, the way we individualize ourselves from issues and from our situations within our space. We will start bringing every other person into the situation. We would be inclusive and not exclusive. And that would show massive result, because at the end of the day, we realize that we actually do not need so much to fix the problem of lack of homes within our space. We would suddenly realize that we do not need so much to fix poverty within our space, for people not to go hungry, not to go to sleep without food, right? We would suddenly realize that there's so much we can do towards educating ourselves, that we actually don't need government to begin to solve all these things. We would suddenly realize that we can take up the project of developing our street road as our personal project. We will suddenly realize that some of the social amenities that we have, we could actually extend it to communities, our communities. We could actually extend it to our neighbors. We could actually extend it to our friends. Instead of doing I pass my neighbor, we would actually now say, my neighbor, come and eat out of it. Right? That is the massive result we would experience almost instantaneous. Trust me, once we get into that light of begin to do something, we would experience massive result. We would get into a standpoint where it's not one woman that looks like you or one, it's a crime to be old within this space and not get money. See, if you have money and you are old, good for you. But if you don't get money, you can't old. You are a witch. Why? Why have they become a witch? Because you have no money, and because your society would term everyone that is old and looking wretched a witch. You see? But by the time we have a clear understanding of nationalism, of developing our space, being interested in our space, that would automatically be removed. Of course, some people will lose their job. That will give them the chance to go back to their farm. Some pastors who feeds on this level of lies, and some religious who feeds on these lies will lose their work, but they will have to go back to farm, the real work. But we would build unity, integrity, and humanity once more. We'll build humanity, we'll build a sustainable environment. You can't treat the ones you have within your space well, but you could be shipped out to go and take care of an elderly person out there, and you think there's no problem. That's problem. That's you eating yourself. And that is what this concept of developing interest in developing our space will guarantee almost immediately. I can guarantee you that almost immediately we will get results. Almost immediately. Let me give you an instance. For me personally, there is nobody that looks like me that is my problem. I do not have a problem with an African. African is not my problem. I've never prayed enemy prayer before in my life, and I don't think I'll pray it. Yes, does that mean that there are stupid Africans? Yes, they are currently being stupid. They are currently being used, and I correct that. But they are not my enemy. In their true self and in their true being, they are not my enemy, and they can never be my enemy. They are my brothers, right? So in their true self presently, they are being used. They are being influenced negatively, but they are not my enemy. So I must know who my enemy is, right? And that's because I have the understanding that no Nigerian deserves to be my enemy. Compassion all the way. Compassion for, as long as you are an African, you are a black man, you are a Nigerian, compassion for you all the way. Compassion for you all the way. And that is what this kind of solutions were birthed within our space. Trust me, see, there is no religion that can achieve this kind of result within the short space of time. I can bet with my life that it's going to give a massive result. And when do we begin to see the massive result on the large scale? Just when we have about 10% of our population, of our total population, in this same level of frequency. Once we have about 10% of our population in this level of frequency, we would dissipate this effortlessly. It will be a national phenomenon. If religion could do that, presently there are about, it can be argued, but there are about 50 million Christians. And there are about 54% of Nigeria's population is the other religion, Muslims. So there are about, if you add that together, there are about over 150 million Nigerians who are religious. Check this space. Does it look like a space where religion has helped? No. So you see, so they can't do it. But national consciousness will do it. Will get the results done in a fast pace and in a fast time. I dare them to begin to do it, but they wasted time anyway. So me, I've lost trust in those institutions. It's not my focus anymore because they are just time wasters, bunch of time wasters, set of wasters. And then for us to move forward, we need to look at something else, and that is national consciousness, getting ourselves ready for the development and for the work necessary to be done for the space called our nation. So today, this week we've been talking about independence and what it would mean, and we started also talking about what we lost, what was taken. We knew that the British or the Britain, I'm tempted to use G, like I said, there's no G for them anymore in my dictionary. The Britain colonized us, England colonized us, and not just African spaces, almost colonized about a quarter of the space, or the world space actually was colonized by the Britain. So what did they take from us? We've said that they took education. You can check the yesterday and before to see the videos on. They took education from us. They took our integrity and dignity. That was what we discussed yesterday. Today, they took our economy and productivity from us. We became unproductive anymore. Let me also add this, that if you have ever wondered, or if you have ever read this, me personally, I read this while starting my journey in reading, right? That the best place to hide anything from an African is to put it inside a book. For a long years too, I thought, oh, that's justifiable. But you need to ask yourself, how did an African get to that point where he doesn't read anymore? Colonization and slavery did that. Because during slavery, let me tell you what happened. We know that we lost our lands, right? And our lands was a major economy. And beyond just losing our lives, we lost ourselves. We lost our free will. We lost our time. So during slavery, only one particular job will be required of you. Maybe not one, but your chances of profession is extremely limited to entertainment or plantation. That's all. It's either you are working on the farm or you are a source of instrument of entertainment. That's all. For an African, you can't exceed outside this. But the question we should ask ourselves is that Africans were not just a society made up of those two before now. We had Africans who were, like I said, who were medical doctors as at that time. We had Africans who were philosophers, who were teachers. We had Africans who were the so-called philosophers, right? The teachers, the medical doctors. What happened to those Africans? Because now those Africans will be forced to work on plantation. Just like, let me give you a perfect instance. Just like me right now, I am in the tech industry. I enjoy what I'm doing. I enjoy my work. Now imagine if I will be forced to or compelled to work somewhere else, to work as a farmer. I actually hate physical work anyway. Now imagine if I will be compelled, not that I will be lured, forced to do that my life depends on that productivity. And after several years of being forced to do that, will now be given independence or freedom. What does that mean to me? That doesn't mean anything, because I've been compelled to get out. It lasted a century within our space, Nigeria. In some other spaces, it lasted a century, and slavery for sure lasted over centuries, over a century rather. So, what would this connote? This would connote that here and back. So, we became redundant. So at this point in time, there was no farmland to work on. A lot of people became very redundant. Our source of economy was taken from us. During that time also, during the time of colonization, industry began to emerge. So not just that the lands were taken from farmers, that the people will be compelled to work in the industries. Fishermen were rendered useless, right? It's because their water will be polluted. Almost every part of the African lives was affected. Children will have to learn something about different from their culture and tradition to excel in life. Suddenly, you're making money and education, the so-called Western education, was connected. Suddenly, we have to speak English. And if you did not pass English, you would not be given a chance to make money. A whole lot of people are poor to date. A whole lot of families are still poor to date because of what colonization did. Not because the families were not hardworking, not because they were not skilled, and we can still see that within our space. But it will just be the system. They were not able to fit into the system, the slavery system and the colonized system that was created on them. So we lost our economy, we lost our productivity. Now we look at those ones now and we say, oh, the children of the poor, am I the one that causes you to be poor? Am I the one that says that your father should not be sent to school? No. Such statement like that from us shows that we are not actually now free yet, because we don't understand what colonization did to our space. We actually are far from what it took from us, because it would take economy. Think of it, come to think of it. How can productivity that a man can join metal together, how should that be defined? And his essence of practicing that, how should English be defining him to practice that, or qualifying him to do that or not? How? Why should you employ someone just on the basis that there is something that shows in his report card or a report card that he has a good mark? Come to think of it. If skills can be developed, what should define if a carpenter will make more money just because he had gone through the colonized school system? But that is what the African setting would do, and that explains why our professionalism is no longer there. We keep on saying that we are the first to graduate within our space, within our families. But check the works that we are doing post-colonial. It cannot even stand a chance with the pre-colonial's work. Check the things they build in the pre-colonial. Check the houses they build. Check the water refrigerator system they created through mud. I drank from is it mud or mud? I drank from mud, pot, koto, what do you call it? I drank from it. They had better system. Check the ventilation entering the houses. You would think that you are actually, there is AC inside the house. They did better work than what we are presently doing. But yet, we would say they are uncivilized, uneducated. To what end does it mean to be uncivilized and uneducated? But one of the things the colonization took from us is that it took our economy and our productivity from us. It took the economy from us. It took our productivity from us. That if we want to be productive within that space right now, you would have to be defined by your academic life. No, that is wrong. It should be what a man can offer. Now, even the spaces that gave us this have stopped using it. But check one thing about colonization. It will continue because it has become our tradition, our culture. Google now employ people without asking them for certificates whatsoever. Facebook is doing so. Twitter X is doing the same. But check within our space. And why is it that our professionalism is no longer there? Because our education was taken. And education and the land has a way of going together. Because in the pre-colonized environment, Africans will be trained, will be developed in a skill as far back as almost when they were born. They were doing things that would be practiced within the family. We were doing things that would be practiced within the family. So our skill is even based on inheritance. Or is in the blood. We had it in the blood. Some of us, wow, now that you see a child maybe 2 years, under 3 years, and being skillful in a skill, being skillful, and then we say, where did he learn it? Where did he learn it? Those were the things we lost as Africans. We lost the capacity to train a child in a family skilled work, for a child to be expressive. Now they gave us the idea that for us to make more money, there are courses we have to do, and there are courses we do not have to do. the same barbers that we have now turned a banker now wants to travel abroad only to practice the barbering work. But unfortunately, he will not be as professional as he could have been if he had majored in barbering. You see, the same professions that we speak less of are now the same profession that is very high demand and high skilled profession now in the abroad. What happened? What erased this aspect of economy and productivity from us? Colonization did. So when we shout happy independence, do we assess independence? I know that we are forced to say we would assess independence by what the government is doing. No. But do we assess independence from this angle, that as our mindset also shifted from, or have we recollected back what was taken from us from the colonial masters? Because the colonial master took something from us, and they took our economy, and they took our productivity. They took it. And that's why an African now is waiting for someone else to employ him or her to be productive. You ask an African, why are you not doing anything? Why are you idle? Saying, oh, nobody has employed me. What caused that? Colonization. Colonization did that to us. Colonization did that to us. So we must begin to look at independence from an angle that best puts us at a point of advantage. So I was saying that we should begin to look at independence from a point of that puts us at advantage, rather than the point where we are just in, and that in would mean that we would just consider independence to be a birthday or graduation ceremony. Contrary to that, it's not. We lost things, and we should begin to ask ourselves tough questions whenever we celebrate independence, or whenever the idea comes into our independence, and ask ourselves, what have we regained? There are things we regained as a society. A government would have to take back. There are things we lost as individuals, as families. We should begin to ask ourselves, have we gained this back? One of it is that we've lost our productivity and economy to colonization. Independence, when we are celebrating independence, or the thought of independence comes to our mind, we should be asking ourselves, have we regained this? If the answer to that question is still no, then we need to go back to work and regain our independence of economy and of productivity. I hope this has helped. That will be all for this night. Till we see another tomorrow night. Actually, this happens every night for 20 minutes. We'll have conversation about developing our space. Till we see tomorrow's night, I pledge to Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend our unity, and uphold our honor and glory. So help me, my ancestor. See you tomorrow night.